Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be talking about Power Rangers Dino Fury Episode 4 New Recruits. But if you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop, and let's just jump straight into it. And I've got to admit, I am really digging Dino Fury. This entire episode, bar the Megazord fights, has literally no Sentai footage, and it's all originally homemade American Power Rangers, and I absolutely love this. This to me is what Power Rangers should have been after RPM and how it's progressed. But let's just jump straight in and continue it. So this entire episode is basically bringing in, so we have Jarvie and we have Izzy, who are the new characters that are going to be in here, and they are the Black and Green Rangers. And I've got to admit, the build up to this episode was absolutely phenomenal. One thing that kind of made me laugh in this is the fact that Zato was learned to say coolio, and that's because Ollie's taught it to him. And it's just the kind of little running gags from these guys. Like this team, I have not seen this team work well together in the form of communication as well as comedy for a very long time. So I like the fact that Ollie has brought this to them, and they're like, "Hey, do you know what? This is funny. Say this. This is a cool catchphrase." It just works on so many different levels. Zato and Harvey are going for the same job, and Jarvie has to go off to get a look at this orb, this sphere thing that's being pronounced, and then obviously Zato is going to go interview Izzy. And I love the fact that Jane is like, when Zato turns around and goes, "Oh yeah, guess what? Her name's Izzy." She's like, "How did you know?" And then it's like, oh, "Okay, whatever." It's just little parts of this comedy that really stand out. The one thing I'm not a huge fan of is definitely J-Borg and Jane. I just don't think that it's comedy, that it feels forced in this one. But literally, it's not bringing down any of the episode. It's just something that I feel out of place, where we've seen that most people in this can actually be really funny, and little comedy works a lot better than forced comedy. Zato goes over and meets Izzy, and they start talking, and she doesn't believe him that he's a knight, and the fact is that he has to show her a better technique to throw the javelin away. Like, he says he's a knight, that it's a spear. She doesn't believe him, but she sees like what happens and what can be done and what he's taught him. So she gives him the interview, because originally she's like, "Nah, I'm not going to give this interview out to anyone. I don't want this. I don't normally do it." But she sees this, and it's interesting because they start asking the right questions, the proper ones, and it feels like a really kind of good interview. At the very beginning of the episode, we are introduced to Boom Tower, and I kind of like this, that it originally starts with the bad guys and it shows you what the master plan is. I kind of would have liked it if Void Knight had grabbed all these Sporax, like the dead Sporax effectively, and this is how he created Boom Tower. But we don't know what he's still using to kind of create. I'm guessing that if you looked at Rhea Soldier, you could kind of like guess from it. Before I forget, the main bad guy is Dragnarok, and I really kind of like the name. I also love in this that they're very kind of like, they don't like, Boom Tower doesn't remember his name personally, and it's a thing for the entire whole episode, and it just feels a bit kind of like Boom Tower thinks he's better than everyone. But I think it adds a bit more to this, a little bit more, and that's what I generally really like. Harvey is, I keep thinking it's Jarvie or Harvey. So Harvey basically sees the orb being like kind of taking the Nephrite orb, and he rings the Rangers. The Rangers then leave the interview that they're doing right now, and the fact is that they rush off. Now, we found out that their dad is the park warden, and he gets attacked because he basically tells the monsters, say, "Stop it, put that back, that doesn't belong to you." And that's not too bad. It just feels a bit kind of, I don't know, a bit forced. I don't know what it was. It just felt a tiny bit forced. We get quite a long fight, and I actually really like all this American footage. because it felt like they really put what they wanted in and not heavily relying on Sentai. Now I hope that this is a thing that they continue with, and in the second season they don't heavily rely on Super Sentai footage, but from what we're seeing right now, I love the fight. I love the fact that it's all choreographed really well, and it feels like it's something completely different, and that's what I think is what the series needed for such a long time. Now, the Rangers literally beat Boom Tower, Dragnarok, and Mucus, but Mucus does an interesting thing, is when Harvey literally takes his dad's car with the orb and they rush off, I love the fact that Mucus like jumps up and goes, "It's morphing slime," and sticks against the car. I love little things like this. This makes the series really stand out, and I have a feeling this is going to be Hasbro's most successful series. But I know with Beast Morphers, but I feel like this is a series that's going to kind of really stand out, and it's definitely like on the top, like one of my favorite series at the moment. So I'm really digging this so far, and the fact is that we're 4 episodes in already. Dear God, it's good. So the Rangers find out that Izzy's dad is the park warden. You know, she meets up and she meets the Rangers, and she's like, "Oh my God, like, you know, you're the Power Rangers," and you can see the excitement. It's not just like a "yo, what's up," and you're kind of over and done with. Perfectly, you know, I can understand if you met the Power Rangers in real life, you know, if they were actually real, you'd be like, "Oh my God, what? Oh my God, you're amazing, you're amazing." Harvey is literally driven off. He is, he's taken things. Mucus has literally let the bad guys know, and I love the fact that teleportation is just everywhere. Not gonna walk too far, teleport. Gonna walk over here, nah, just teleport. The Rangers come in and they start fighting, and the orb gets dropped by Boom Tower. And this is when Harvey picks it up with Izzy, and then they rush over. And this kind of adds a bit to it because it feels like these guys aren't running off. They smash the orb and they get the Dino keys and they transform. And I love the kind of excitement that they have, where it's more like, "Oh my God, like, you know, we're Power Rangers. Are we? Are you? Is this?" And they get excited. And one thing is, and this will be another video coming up very, very soon, is that we see that Izzy morphs with the skirt and she just rips it off and she just throws it. I really like this because it felt natural, and I'm so glad that they didn't kind of backtrack on. One thing I would kind of like to see, and I know they're not going to put it in, is I would love it if every single time that she morphs, it's there and she rips it off. But I know now that she's done that, the morphing grid's going to kind of account for that, and she, you know, it's not going to be there, and I think that's a very good thing. But now we've seen that the skirt is no longer on the Ranger. Boom, perfect, love it. The fight scene, the choreography in this was perfect as well. I love the fact that Izzy and Javier just went straight into it, and they absolutely decimated the bad guys. Boom Tower disappears after Izzy goes like, "Oh, you know, we're vibing here," and it's like, "I'm not vibing with a teenager," and then disappears. We get Dragnarok grows giant after the Rangers are fighting that one, and I love the fact that everyone is so excited about Zords. That is it. It is, "Oh my God, Zords!" And I just love it. We get it's basically the first fight scene that we see in Rear Soldier. It's perfect. The camera angles are absolutely stunning, and I really enjoyed it. One thing that is going to bug me, if this is the main thing, is when Zato calls on the Dino like slat sword thing that he's able to use for the ultimate attack. Like every time that they use it and he calls for it, the others aren't in the cockpit. So I kind of thought that they would have refilmed that. Like it jumps in, like, you know, he calls for it, it's not there, no one's in the room, and then it jumps in that everyone's in the room. So I'm hoping that they redo this, because it's a little bit irritating, because it's like there's no one in there and then there is. I feel like the series is growing. At the very end, we get the reveal of Izzy and Javi again, but then obviously we've got Zato, Amelia, and Ollie. They demorph, and I love the fact that Zato is just like, "Oh hey, what you guys are so excited about Zords?" Like it's a thing that he doesn't care about. It's like huh? But I guarantee this entire episode is good. Now, the Jane bot as well as Jane, I'm not, or J-bot and Jane Borg and Jane, I'm not a big fan of that comedy duo. It just feels a bit off. But this entire episode was absolutely more phenomenal. I hate using that word, but it was absolutely stunning. It had great. I'm so glad they used very little Sentai footage, and it was all choreographed amazing. The fight scenes was great. Everything in this episode stood out more than anything to me, and I cannot wait for the next episode. I'm hoping that it's going to be a great one, but dear God, if the series keeps up like this will possibly be one of the better seasons of Power Rangers that we've had in a long time, and I really wish this was the step that we took. This episode was perfect in my eyes. It had everything that I wanted. It had introduction to new characters. They dealt with the skirt thing very quickly, and that's particularly, I think it's just perfect. So I'm going to leave it there. What are your thoughts on this? Did you like this? Did you not? Are you excited for this? Did you like Dino Fury? I'm asking all these questions, so let me know down below in the comments. If you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.